Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
63.
63.
Almost your favorite number. We're getting
closer to the best number in the world. Countdown, baby. We have had the most excellent week. Thank you for everyone who joined us in the community. We had 7, 8 couples?
Oh, I think more than that.
9 couples? I don't know. I didn't count too high. Too much. Haven't been in school for a while. But we really enjoyed it. We got to introduce each other and chat a little bit. And it was fabulous.
It was fabulous.
There's still time.
Yep.
Y'all can sign up. Join us.
We're not having one in December just because of logistics, but
During Christmas time.
yes, the next one will be in January. I'll put the link out again. I really loved couples seeing other couples and the discussion and the realization again that marriage is meaningful work, but it is nonetheless work.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. But I think it's just so important to be transparent about the kind of work that it takes to keep a marriage alive and thriving, and to see other couples actively engaged in that and the peaks and valleys of that work is really encouraging and I think supporting.
We had a lot of years of marriage in that room.
We did.
And so we're looking for everything. If you're newlyweds, come join us. There's a plethora of wisdom sitting in that room. If you've been married 40, 50 years, we'd love to have you too. And it was very exciting. We knew everyone in that call, which was fun. And the exciting thing is we had friends from way back when Amy and I were dating and we went to church together that we haven't seen in 27 years pop up on our screen. And that was fun too, to be able to see them. So anyways, take some time, go sign up, come when you can. If you can't make one, doesn't mean you're kicked out of the community.
Yeah, someone emailed me about that.
We're not judgmental here on this community.
We're not going to kick you out. The only thing really is that you come and show up with your screens on, that you be present. Yeah. That's the type of community we want, is a community where you're present. We want you to come, to enjoy, to be present in that moment, to share in that live discussion whenever you can.
Yep. Well, the Christmas season is upon us. And if you're watching, you can see we're very festive. We're wearing our Christmas shirts, especially this one.
He's standing up and showing his wild horse Christmas
sweater. It's a horse
sweater.
Christmas sweater. And don't call it ugly or you'll be in trouble just because it has Clifford's grinning face on it.
So you may have to just check out the YouTube just to see this outrageous sweater.
Outrageous.
Mine is
It's festive.
Nice and normal. Yours is outrageous. There's just a picture of our relationship right there in the sweater.
Outrageous. That's a bad word. I can't believe you used that word outrageous. I'm offended. Anyways, as the Christmas season comes upon us, we know that things in a relationship get a little tight.
Yes, they do.
And a lot of times we don't even know why. But there seems to be a little extra pressure, a little extra...
There's pressure, expectation, demand.
All kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
So today we're going to try to unpack some of that. It's going to be interesting because I don't know if we agree on exactly this topic. We had a little conversation this morning and we didn't land anywhere firm. So we're going to have this out right now. I guess not out, but we get to chat about it and see our different perspectives about it. But we really want to talk about what happens in this. And really, it starts with this great dichotomy that we have in a relationship of these two real big energies that are in our lives. There's the domestic energy and there's the erotic energy. And it's the boundaries and the mixing and the balancing of those two that become tricky, that often cause the contention in our marriages. And usually one partner leans towards one and one partner leans towards the other one, and one sees all the benefits of focusing in one area and one sees all the benefits of focusing in the other area. And that was what our conversation kind of was this morning, right? I
Mm-hmm.
leaned one way and Amy leaned the other. And it really is talking about it and realizing that there's these two major energy balances in our marriage, and we have to understand them. If we don't, then one is going to get out of whack and not be in line with the other one. And really, when they're balanced, they play off each other and they help each other thrive. And so we're going to talk about those.
Yeah. So you're talking about what I call the two buckets. You call them the two energies, same thing. But the domestic bucket of marriage, which really is about being actively engaged in the work of marriage. It is about figuring out how to run a house, how to run a family, how to create trust and reliability and partnership in a marriage. And there is a lot of work in that domestic bucket of marriage. And then the other bucket is the erotic and the passion. And like we've been talking about over and over for the last few weeks, that is the bucket of learning to be instead of do, of learning to be present, of learning to enjoy pleasure and to take pleasure. And that component is very different and it is not focused on work. So we've been talking about that component a lot. We're going to shift back to the work component and how to help that part of marriage thrive better, especially for me. Historically, once the holidays hit, there was almost just dread and heaviness because the amount of work for me would just exponentially multiply. And I think that's what's also happening in a lot of other couples. So I wanted to bring it up today and talk about what work is involved in this bucket of marriage.
Yeah. And just like we've talked a lot about, we live in the fantasy world and the erotic world, and we go into an opportunity to be able to be close and intimate with our spouse. And we've thought about all the great things we're going to do. And when we have those expectations and we have covertly made them and we set them up that way, oftentimes they'll never be met because they're covert and we're one-sided. Well, I came to find out this morning, Amy told me there's covert domestic things that go on and expectations that get set on the domestic side too. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, but first I'm going to back up a little bit. When I was in college, I studied family science, which is the study of all the psychology and theories behind relationships and families and what works and doesn't work and marriage and all of those things. That was my undergrad. And I first came across this term then, and it was the first time that I heard it, but it really kind of like struck me. So the term is invisible work. And a lot of what happens in the domestic bucket of marriage is invisible. And by invisible, I mean you only see what's left undone. So you only see the laundry that's left undone or that's unfolded. You only see the floors that aren't vacuumed. You only see the dishes that aren't done or aren't put away. You only see the trash that isn't taken out. So it's invisible because you only see what's not done. And the work and all the many tasks that maybe went into getting the laundry washed and dried and then folded and then put away is often invisible. And what happens is a lot of child rearing, a lot of the managing of a home ends up being invisible. You don't see the children that are thriving. You see the children that are crying. You don't see the bills that are paid. You see the ones that are unpaid. And so what can happen is, at least for me, in our young married life, it felt like I was just on this hamster wheel trying to get things done and never feeling like anything was done because it was immediately undone by my adorable children or by just the tasks of life. Like every dish that I did, there were 3 more that got dirtied as fast as I could do them. And so this invisible work really carried quite a load with it. And it was the mental load of trying to figure out how was I going to strategize to take care of these children and strategize to keep food on the table and snacks and meals and all of those things planned. And how was I going to strategize to make sure they had all the right clothes and that we never ran out of all of the essentials and had all of the diapers and wipes and toilet paper and things like that. And it's a constant tracking, planning, organizing, doing. And yet when you look around, or when I looked around, I could only see what was left undone instead of what was actually done. And that can be really discouraging, especially at that time. I wasn't working outside the home. I was working as a stay-at-home mom, but also as a piano teacher. And so there were no like rewards or bonuses or anyone saying, wow, you really nailed all of that this week. None of that happened. So there was no positive feedback. There was often just, why didn't this get done? Or where's this? Or
I say one thing.
yeah.
I think I agree with all that, but oftentimes the greatest critic was yourself.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Yes.
And there was no time that I sat back and said, Amy, why didn't that all got done? Or why isn't this completed? Or why didn't we get that?
No, I definitely, the critique was running in me. And I think a lot of it was my view of what was that I had absorbed of what goodness was and what it meant to be a good wife and a good mom and a good member of our faith community and a good volunteer at the schools and on and on and on.
Now, I never stood up and said, oh, I wonder how all that things gets done. Can I be a partner? I'm not saying that I was clean in this space, but I think that's the hard part is there is a lot of covertness that goes on with the expectations of things that done or not done that don't get talked about. And there is no curious questions being asked. I didn't ask them because I didn't want to know them probably in the end. And it really comes down to being able to partner with each other more than anything else and being honest on both ways, right? We talk about intimacy requires us to be open and honest with each other just as much as it's open and honest on what's going on. My male friends have the hardest time accepting that they can actually tell their wife the struggles they're having or troubles they're doing or concerns they have about finances or what's going on in the business. They try to hide that from them because they're worried about them. So it's an open and honesty on both sides that's just really important. Again, I didn't step up to be a partner in any way, so I'm not trying to extract the blame. Just want to make it clear that it's like really, really important that these conversations happen, these open conversations happen about the pressures that are being felt as a spouse. If you're a young mom and you're standing up and you're applauding for what Amy just said, and you're like, yes, that's me, then the time is to have that really deep, open, honest conversation with your spouse.
Yes. And what I was avoiding in having that conversation, though I feel like I did try to have it, I didn't do it well. And I want to give an example of one way that this can work. But instead of really maybe standing my ground and having that conversation, I turned to silent resentment. And that resentment is so damaging, which is why I'm bringing up this topic today, because in this holiday season, I find that the invisible labor and the mental load increases so much. And the one who tends to overfunction, maybe it's the wife, maybe it's the husband, will then continue to overfunction and go into like triple deucing overfunctioning. And the cost of that is resentment. And that resentment is damaging. It's damaging to the person holding it and to the spouse. And when you are living in resentment, guess what's not going to be working? You're not going to be free to be able to move into the erotic, passionate bucket. That resentment is like a giant wall that doesn't allow you to move into the bridge of that, which is why I want to address it today, because I think it's so real. And it's something that in the domestic part of a relationship really does need to be addressed. And there isn't a one-way fits all solution, but there is definitely the capacity to have the conversations and to get more curious. Maybe there is something for me to learn here, and that willingness to learn.
This is where it gets scary for me. That's what I told Amy. I'm like, this is the scary part because this can go bad in so many different ways, right? If you come at your partner like, I'm doing all this stuff and I can't believe you're not helping me and I am resentful, the first thing they're going to do is put their armor up and they're going to say, who's going to work every day to pay the bills and who's doing this? And they'll come up with a list of all the shit that they do, right? And then we'll have 2 shit lists to go compare with each other. And all that comes out of 2 shit lists is a bigger pile of shit. And so this is where I get really concerned because it can feel good and justifying. Like, I'm sure there's people out there going, oh my gosh, Amy's finally saying the thing. And then all the men are out there and like, well, yeah, but can you believe that this is what I'm mostly concerned about. And I tried really hard as we had the conversation this morning, because it has pivoted and changed in our relationship. We definitely were in a different place of me, I don't know if being oblivious or not wanting to know of all the things that are happening, or me just being happy with trying to deal with my own pile and get it done. And knowing that was enough, or maybe more than I can handle, and any more would put me over the edge. I can't tell you really where I was at that point, but we had conversations like this. Amy would get fed up and she would say, I'm tired of doing this. And this is all the things I do. I can't believe it. And I would just get defensive and say, then you go to work and pay the bills. And so how do we take our guard down enough to understand that this truly is a partnership, and all the cultural things that we've been told in the past need to go out the window? All the expectations to be set from how we grew up probably need to go out the window, and literally just needs to go, this are the things that are important to us, and how are we going to get those things accomplished?
Yeah.
And that's what scares me the most, because I can see a lot of fights out there with their piles just piling up and pointing to each other and saying, okay, then you go do this, you go do that. Right. And
Yeah.
if you're ever saying, my wife is assigning me this task to go do, and I'm going to go do it, then that's probably not the right thing, because you'll become resentful as a husband.
Right.
It's a fine line. This can go really bad.
I think, though, in the same way that if you came to me and had the script of exactly what you expected me to take on, that's going to blow up, right? If you had the script of exactly how I should be, that's going to blow up. But if from the partner who is noticing this or feeling that resentment says, I need to address this resentment and I need to bring this up without an exact script of how that might play out, because again, that exact script is that covert expectation. When the issue is addressed, it's addressed with openness, saying, I'm really struggling with this and I don't want to feel resentment. I can see that there's probably some things I need to let go of. There's some things that I need to change how I approach, but I also think there's some things that we need to address as partners. And I really want to be able to address that with you, because I don't want to feel this resentment. And I think that resentment is impacting both of us.
Yeah. I think the key part to that is coming and owning your 5%, 100%. If it's even 1%, 100%. Knowing that both of us play into this dichotomy that causes this pain. In a way, the overfunctions because they're trying to calm down their anxieties and they need things to look a certain way, or they're going to be anxious. That's 100% not that all the time, but that's what our case was, right? And so if I go back and just start thinking and racking my brain of when it really started pivoting and we stopped pointing at each other and saying, you need to help me, I need to help me. And we just battled it.
Do you remember the conversation in the car?
Oh, I remember that one. I don't want to talk about that. One's embarrassing because I was stupid in that one, but
I thought that was a really good conversation.
I thought it was a really bad conversation. I was an idiot.
But I think it represents what a lot of people may feel.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I'm just trying to get down to the nuts and bolts of the battle we did for 17 years that didn't work.
Right. And part of that battle.
And when did it pivot to something that did work?
I remember part of that battle was my attack on your football, which wasn't really about football, but we fought about football nonstop. It was really like, I need help with this invisible work and mental load, and I feel this imbalance and I'm resenting you. But we just fought about football, which got us nowhere.
Yeah, I think it was the being curious and wanting to understand and partner with you from my side. I think it was you realizing you were over functioning.
Yeah.
And that things could get done in a different way than what you had imagined, or things can not get done and it's going to be okay. When you let go of that, I have to have it this way, which is interesting because if we talk about the erotic side, that's where it shifted on the erotic side. I have to have it this way.
Yeah.
And you were willing to step in and saying, I'm willing to get this done in any way because I'm more into the outcome with you and what it looks like than it has to look my way.
Yes.
I really think that control, whenever you grab that control, when you love your ego and the control that it brings more than you love an intimate relationship, it will never change.
Yeah.
And when you decide, I need to let go and let it be what it's going to be and allow that partner to step in and be a partner with me, to me is when it really pivoted and changed.
No, absolutely. I had to address the control and my ego, which was really anxiety. And I feel like we did do that. I did do that. And that also made more room for you. But I still had to bring up the conversation and bring the resentment out into the open and bring that opportunity to, like,
There was no hiding. I knew you were.
no, bring the conversation up instead of
The
letting
resentment was obvious.
instead of letting that just simmer below the
Right.
surface.
Having that conversation.
It was crucial. And it said, and again, I think this comes up in exponential ways in the holidays, because that's when things really, really, really get polarized and can really go south. And so what I'm saying is bring up, okay, I can see I may need to let go of some things. I can see that I maybe get overly anxious and only want things done my way. I'm willing to let go of that. I'm willing to address that. But I'm also saying, please, can we partner in this?
Yeah. I guess going back to the car conversation can be important. I'm ashamed of the way I act about it, but I guess what took place that it was important is we stayed in the conversation even when I was an asshole and responded in the wrong way, and we worked through it. I can't remember exactly what we were arguing about at this time, but there was definitely the domestic things that we were talking about. And my response was, I'm busy working, paying the bills, figure it out.
Pretty much. And I said, that's
And
not
that's
acceptable.
usually, yeah. And usually that would be enough to make Amy back down and back out. And she said, try again.
I said,
You're wrong.
thank you, but that's not partnership.
That's not the way to do it. And I got pissed. And then I wanted to bite her head off and scream and yell, but I'd grown up a little bit. And so I decided to go check in with myself and figure out what was really going on. It was an ugly conversation. I think it went back forth maybe 3 or 4 times where I'm like, I need to think about this. And then I go, okay, this is what I feel. And you're like, I need to think about this. And you go away for a few minutes and come back.
We had a lot of pauses.
It was a couple-hour drive, and it was the whole
drive.
We went to check out the Hotel Lucy for our
that's
retreat, which is an amazing hotel, by the way. And that retreat was an amazing
ironically,
place.
It was in checking out a marriage retreat that we were having one of our
which was funny because we had stayed at this beautiful, amazing hotel.
Yeah.
We'd had a beautiful, intimate times all week together.
Yep.
And life was perfect, except then you had to bring up this topic. And
it was because it was perfect. I said, okay, it's time.
It's good now. Let me mess it up.
Yeah, it's time to confront this. We had to take a lot of timeouts, which y'all is okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like, I'm going to go away for a little bit and figure this out. And I would stew on it and check into my emotions and try to understand why it made me so angry and get down to the bottom of that. And then I'd come back and share that with Amy, and she go, oh, that makes me feel a little anxious. And
I think I just was challenging your view because you felt very justified.
Of course.
And so I was saying, I can appreciate that, but I think that our relationship deserves more.
Yeah. Again, in the end, it's checking the ego at the door. It really is. I'm seeing that more clearly in almost everything we do. That ego is born out of your lesser self. It's born out of your brain wanting to protect you and put you in a place of protection. But it often overreacts and puts you in a place of not intimacy.
Right. Because when we're childish, we can't be intimate. And our ego is very childish and is very regressive. And in order to have intimacy, it takes maturity, emotional and mental and sexual and spiritual, all those forms. Ego in and of itself is extremely childish.
Yeah. I've had this wonderful opportunity to coach this individual. And this has been fun because it's the first time Amy and I have ever done this, is where I've coached the husband and Amy's kind of coached the wife, and then we'll come back together and coach them together. And it's been really fun. It's been really good to watch them progress. And I remember having this conversation of, hey, look, we got to check our egos in, because if we don't, then we're just going to be childish. And he was shocked. He said, when we started sharing our emotions and we're honest with each other, I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. I had no idea why she felt a certain way or how she was thinking and where her emotions came from. And it made me understand her in such a different way and put me in a place where we could be more open and honest. And we were talking about how that does bruise the ego sometimes. And I was reminded at that time of the hours and hours I spent in the shower justifying my egos.
Hmm.
That's the place I did it. I can remember.
You stand with your legs crossed and your arm up. I know the ego pose. I have seen it.
And I had all the answers of why I was being harmed and why I was right. And I had good ones.
Yes.
Very good ones.
You are very good at that.
And so really it comes down to, in the end, each of us being open and honest, but not in an egocentric way.
Like, even if you're asking, like in our, just let me, since we're talking about Christmas and holidays and things here, there were a lot of things we decided to let go of, that I had to let go of things being a certain way. There were some things we ended up hiring out. There are some things we just decided not to do. And so I think coming into a conversation, if your ego is leading it, it's determined how it's going to go and what you're going to get, and is really defensive about that. When you check your ego at the door of the conversation, the goal is really, I want to partner with you. I want to make this relationship thrive.
Yeah. And that's why I almost think it's most important to start with the outcomes.
What do you mean?
Making sure you have common goals and outcomes you want to see. What do you want Christmas to look like? What's the number one most important thing for the Christmas time? And can we
I thought you were
agree
talking
on
about
that?
like scripts.
No, not scripts. I'm talking about if we argue about the tasks that build up to those things, sometimes we don't ever get to the core thing about, are we fighting for the right things?
Yeah. Are we using our resources and our time and our
getting
energy?
us what's good for both of us
Is
and
it
for the
really
family?
contributing to what we want to create?
And so we can start fighting just because we've been doing it for 15 years. But the question is, should we be doing that?
That's a very valuable question.
Does it bring us joy and happiness and make us closer together as a couple, or bring us closer to our kids and family? Do we have to go to every single party? Do we have to invite every single family member over? Do we have to? There is lots of questions to be asked.
Yeah.
And I almost believe starting there, does the house need to be clean? Yes. What does that mean to make the house clean? Does every dish have to get done every night or the house is dirty? Does the floor have to be scrubbed once a week or the house is dirty? Like those, I think getting a common answer between the two of you and giving and taking in that area. Amy loves a clean house.
I do.
If we scrub the floor every night before we went to bed, she would be in heaven. And maybe I get laid more, so maybe I could do it.
That's not.
It's a joke. I think the floor could get scrubbed once a week and be wonderful. So we bought a steam mop, which we both love to do. It's the common question of, what does good look like? What do we together think this should be?
Mm-hmm.
And coming up with an answer and then understanding how to partner towards it.
Right. And partnering can be taking whole chunks. And there's this idea.
This balance thing needs to go away.
Yeah, that
I have 5 things, you need to have 5 things.
Right.
They equal 6 hours, so you have to have 6 hours of task.
Right. There are things that Greg has strengths in that I will never have strengths in, that it just makes more sense for him to take ownership
And we're
of.
doing, let's blow up the cultural stupidities too we were raised with. The wife has to do these 3 things, and it's the man's job to do these 4 things. Let's just get rid of that while we're at it. How about it?
Yeah, let's put it all on the table. But also, there are a lot of little tasks that make up bigger ones. And once you've decided, yes, we want to do this, or yes, this is necessary. Maybe it's finances, maybe it's childcare, maybe it's laundry, maybe it's grocery shopping and dinner meal making, maybe it's laundry. You can hand that over, and for the overfunctioner, aka me, that means don't track. If you hand it over, you hand it over.
I think even more importantly, if I look back and see what's changed, like I don't have a list, and it doesn't say Greg does the dishes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Amy does them on Thursday, Friday, or Greg cooks dinner on Tuesday, Thursday, and Amy does it. That's never happened. But it's changed because one, we were open and honest of what was important and that the burden was there and that we wanted it. So I'm like, okay, now that I'm not being tortured to do the dishes in a certain way and then they have to be done every night and I can partner with you, then I can see when the dishes need to be done. And so I want clean dishes too. And since you said, hey, we might go to bed and there might be a dish in the sink, and that's just fine. That pressure allowed us to step in with each other. And it didn't even become, here's a list of things you have to take on, and here's a list of things that I have to take on.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not working, so you can be honest with me now and say it's not working, but I think it's working pretty well. And it's being open and honest in partnership and saying, this work needs to be done. And do you agree it needs to be done? Yeah. Okay, then let's get it done.
And I think the one who tends to see the invisible work more, just like there's a partner who tends to maybe feel the passion or that arousal more, is probably more likely going to be the initiator of the conversations or the check engine light when things aren't working. And that's just what it is, right?
And you used to make it mean that I didn't love you or we didn't love you.
Right.
And you need to get rid of that. But when that got away, you can say, hey, these dishes have been sitting here for 2 days. They need to be done. Can we do them? Yeah, let's go do them.
So I'm saying in the balance of relationships, there's probably one who's going to notice the erotic bucket more and one who's going to notice the domestic bucket more. Okay. And just recognize that balance is good and that it is not that you have to be the same, but that you're engaging in this partnership and you're inviting. And like Greggy said, to invite without ego.
And if you ever find yourself thinking that you're doing something to manipulate or get, then you're a red flag. Because I would do dishes hoping that I would get laid that night. I wouldn't do them in a true partnership. I would do them trying to get something out of it. And that's very important too. And that's why when we talked about that, there's a million landmines. I'm like, we're going to blow legs off here if we're not careful. And maybe that's what we need to blow legs off so we can get to the bottom of it. But it really comes down to true honesty, curiosity, and choosing to step in and partner with somebody and however that looks. Mm-hmm. And not doing it with expectations or covert manipulations.
We talked last week with Dr. Jennifer Finlayson-Fife about being able to be in the tension of differences and from that tension being able to create. And again, we're talking about the same thing. There's going to be a tension in the differences of the way that you approach or see domestic work, the invisible work, and the way that the mental load is carried. That is just a reality. And the way that you then engage in the conflict of those tensions and the willingness to have discussions, that will be the creative process.
Yep.
And from that creative process, you may decide all sorts of things, which is why you don't hear us saying this is the way that it gets done. Because in the couple, there are literally a buffet of options, and there isn't one right way.
And you may try one and it may not work.
And you may try it and you may decide, you know what, that really wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Our finances bounce back and forth on who actually writes the check 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, they have.
And just the biggest aha that I had, I think, in that podcast with Jennifer was it's in that paradox. It's in that tension. It's in that differences that allow us real choice. Because we see it differently, because we want to do it in a different way, that's what gives us the difference to choose whether we're going to step in or we're not. Mm-hmm. And then that gets down to the bottom of what every single person in this world wants to be chosen. And if you scrape away everything we talked about on this whole thing, all Amy really wanted to do is she wanted me to feel like I was choosing her, period. And me not stepping in and being a partner was a sign to her that I wasn't choosing her. But if you would ask me, I was like, I choose her every day because we're so blind to it. And that's the crazy part is I think each partner, and mostly, and there's marriages that just aren't going to work and they're going to be a mess and they were a mess from the beginning or gotten to a place that can't be turned around. We've seen it. Those are the ones that need to choose to step out. But in the majority of them, it's just we both really want to choose each other. We just don't know how.
And that's why the conversation is so crucial, is because both of us have learning and growth to do. And without that conversation about maybe what you don't know or where your blind spots are or what you don't yet understand about invisible work and mental load, that is a crucial understanding to help us be able to partner. Or what I didn't know about what intimacy and sexuality really were. And that's a crucial part of our relationship. And again, we're not making one better or worse or more important or more inferior or superior. We're saying these are crucial conversations to have, crucial tensions to engage in as a couple to be able to create the partnership that is uniquely yours.
Yeah. And that goes back to those two buckets need to balance each other. If you lean only into one, it will not be an intimate relationship. It can't be. It's like Esther Perel's quote of buying a house and being able to work in it and also able to be naughty in it.
Be parents and be lovers.
It's that erotic side that allows us to rejuvenate ourselves if we do it right, to go after the domestic side. If we stay in the domestic at all times, we're going to be worn down and we're just going to be resentful and we're never going to accomplish all that need to be accomplished.
But there also can be a lot of partnership in that domestic side that builds trust and companionship that allows you not to.
It feeds back to the erotic side.
It feeds back to the erotic. And what I see are so many women that maybe they're working full time, maybe part time, maybe they're stay at home moms, and they are taking on all of the load in the domestic. And that is crucial to address because it prevents them from being able to move into this erotic state because they are literally so burdened and also resentful in those burdens.
Yeah. That's where my warning signs go up and sirens. Because if you guys, if you're going in to say, I want to partner domestic with you because you just want to get laid more, then it's not going to work. It's a true balance and partnership. It has to be on both sides, and it's going to get out of whack, and you're going to fight about it. And we had a conversation this morning. I don't think we agreed exactly how this goes down because we're different and we see it from different sides. I see it from the erotic bucket side, 100%. And Amy sees it from the domestic bucket side, 100%. And we lived in that for 17 years, and we dug our trenches and we threw grenades and we fought and fought.
Yeah, we fought about the wrong things.
We never untrenched ourselves. That's the problem.
And I guess that's what we're trying to show you is first be willing to check your ego and see your part. And then please have the conversation. And is it going to get messy? Probably.
Yeah. Are you going to feeling it's going to get hurt? Yeah.
Probably. And take some time to calm down and then keep going.
Yeah. As soon as you get way defensive, pause and like, where is this defensive coming from? Because every time I went back to it, it was something in me that it was going back to saying that I'm not enough and that I can't believe I do all this stuff and she doesn't appreciate me. It was back to my own ego of saying I am okay because I do all these things. Emotions are very helpful, actually. They are the signs that can show us to our true selves and what's really going on. But we're so eager to dismiss them and push them away or not acknowledge them or are afraid of them.
Or not see what they're protecting.
That's what I'm saying is we just go after the emotion and then we just let it out or we stop because it hurts. It's those moments in that car ride where I paused and said, I got to go figure this out. And did it feel good? No, not at all.
And it did not feel good for me not to just run away and stay running away. I much would have preferred to run away, but I knew that this was something we needed to address. And I did not know, I did not have the answer of how that was going to play out, but I knew that it was worth staying engaged for. And it's uncomfortable. That was wildly uncomfortable.
So bottom line is what we have 4 weeks for Christmas. Go have the fight now.
Go work out. What are you going to let go of? What are you going to keep? What matters? What doesn't? Where can you support each other? Where can you be more present with each other? This is important because often we really want closeness, especially during these times, but we let the demands and the expectations and all the other things get in the way of that. And we're here fighting for your relationship.
Yes. Because, man, we did it so wrong. And we still do it wrong. But at least we can see that we're doing it wrong. We can fight it out, I guess. Like we talk about a lot. We just, it all happens still. We just have tools to be able to overcome it. And I think it's by design. It's the relationship that pushes us, exposes us, that makes us stand up and think about what we're doing. And when we try to avoid that in any way, it just gets worse. And so why it is the most stressful and most demanding of all relationships, it's the most rewarding of all relationships. There's nothing that can replicate when you're choosing each other in any way. There's just, you can't find it anywhere else on the face of the earth or anywhere else. You can't find it anywhere but in that relationship. So like most things, the effort you put in is what you get out the other side. And there's a lot of good to have. It's way outweighs the struggle. We just don't like it, so we avoid it.
And I think where couples sometimes get lost in this conversation is with intention. They say, I didn't intend not to be a partner. I didn't intend. And I don't
Doesn't matter.
I don't think anyone
It goes into an intentionally
is trying to harm. I think the better approach is tell me more.
Yeah, I'm
Let me
curious. I was
understand.
unaware.
Teach me.
And honestly wanting to know.
Again, I have never intended to harm Greggy or to not be present, but that has happened. And what's more important is not my intention, but what has happened.
We hope you prepare for a Merry Christmas. We appreciate everything.
I don't know if this was a very Merry Christmas
uplifting
episode.
If you want a sexy horse Christmas sweater like mine, let me know and I'll let you know where I got it. I don't think Amy said obnoxious. What was the word you used?
Yeah, obnoxious.
No, it's not obnoxious. What did you use? Another word, but it was very offensive. I had to check my emotions into that time. Knowing she still does choose me, even though I have the sexiest Christmas sweater on, and she just jealous.
Jealous. That's what I am.
Look how boring that sweater is. It's just boring. I know you guys can't. Some of you can't see it. But
traditional. And
she has a very
soft
boring
and
sweater in, and I have the sexy Christmas sweater.
I'm so offended you called me boring.
In fact, we got to probably end right now because she can't handle being around me in the sweater anymore. So thank you for joining us. Please go up on langfordlifecoaching.com. And when you're there, there's a free consult button. We'd love to have you.
Press click.
Click there. We also would love to have you in our community, Undressing Intimacy community. That was a blast. So go sign up on that. We'll put the link in this podcast. Go like and subscribe wherever you listen or watch this podcast. That helps us out. We love it. We appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
Yes, thank you so much. I was just going to say how grateful I am for the people that listen, for the people that come and have the consults, for the people in the community, for the relationships, for all that I know you learn from them. And I just am truly grateful.
Yep, we're truly blessed. We're so grateful. Until next time.
Keep undressing your intimacy.
Bye-bye.